I am live. Good evening. This is Rhees here from the Inquisitive Cat channel. If you haven't been here before, I do spirit sessions and spirit channeling. I go to haunted areas, locations, do some comedy here, um, some holiday stuff as well, a mixed bag of stuff. It's quite interesting. Check it out. Do mask reviews, much more. Freddie K's coming back in the Squid Game, so he's actually stuck in South Korea at the moment, but he'll explain a bit more. Tonight is something a little bit different, and I've never done this ever. This is spirit channeling, but it's going to go live. I'm going to do this live, never done before that I know of. Richard Ramirez, a serial killer. He murdered a lot of people back in the day, and I'd done some videos already on Richard Ramirez Spirit Session. This is probably my last one. I'm going to do the live one. I'm going to do another one without going live. I've got actual items that Richard Ramirez has actually made contact with, believe it or not, actually physically touch. Now, I'm not celebrating a serial killer, but what I am doing is doing experimentation to prove that what I do is real, it's genuine. I've got a camera along the hallway there. I'm going to do an experiment tonight with the REM pod to see if Richard Ramirez will come down the hallway and actually set this off. When I first did it a few years ago, I got Richard Ramirez, and as soon as I made contact, boxes along the hallway fell down. I'll never forget that night when I first started and when I made contact with Richard Ramirez, and he actually spoke as well. So check out my other video. It's quite amazing. He speaks in Spanish and English as well. He tells me what happened, but I'll leave it there. I don't want to talk about my previous video. We're talking about the live session I'm doing of Richard Ramirez items that I have. So I'm going to bring out some items. There's no one here at the moment. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take it out of the box. Now, this is one box of items. Richard Ramirez. This is actually, where are we? There we are. Richard Ramirez. This is an item from Richard Ramirez. It is, here, I'll take it out of the packet. There, from Richard Ramirez. It's authentic debris from shoes owned by Richard Ramirez, who was on death row. So we're going to use this as an experiment for my spirit session tonight. Never been done before. I'm going to put it in this, keep it in the pack. And I'm going to set the camera out here. I'm going to combine my session with the cameras that I've got set up. So just bear with me. I'm going to get these two things. And we'll get this going. Video. And I'll put this together later. Okay, it's going. Okay, that's Richard Ramirez. Their item. I think that's it for that one. Now, the next ones are going to be much more interesting. There is a letter. There's an address there. I'm not going to, for privacy, Richard Ramirez letter he wrote, and I'm going to read it out. These are a couple of items. That was when the police department had an ID on Richard Ramirez, and that came out in the newspaper, and it was sent to all police departments around Los Angeles at the time. Here's a copy of Richard Ramirez prison photo mugshot. This is Richard Ramirez as a child. Let's put it over here as an experiment to see whether we get communication with some of these items. And that's him with his ex-wife. So let's put him here. Now I'm going to experiment this time with a Flir. So something I really haven't done before. We're going to put this here. Very interesting. I'm going to wear gloves. You call me crazy, but I'm going to wear gloves. I'm not going to contact this. This actually made Richard Ramirez actually made contact with this letter, writing this. So I'm going to read it out to you. And there it is. All right. So there's Richard's writing there. Look, Richard. And there. So it's here. This is it here. I'm going to just show you. Richard Ramirez. He says, "Hi, here's a verse. Open." I've never read this before, so I'm just trying to work out his handwriting. Verses upon Henrith. I'm not sure. It's a bit hard to understand that. Is fire, and beneath roof there is bed. The flower, leaf, and grass is yours. But to ask 9 for the 11 under moon, star 6 for the hills of the stone. These are wander far from home, and from thee on his throne under nth sea. I can't trying to read this. Sky in the his writing is a bit hard to read. Where shadows fly, one ring to Rhees, all one ring to find those who stand till heroes. Another, here's another. I'm just going through it, some sort of poem stuff. I won't read that out. It's just going through sort of jargon, to be honest. What do you think of stay-home dads? When you were a kid, what did you use a kissing partner to practice? Orange, cousins, siblings, or doll? What would you say is warm to the touch? What one word you don't like hearing in bed? Maybe someone else's name. I used to fish in the ocean. Would donate fish caught to pet stores. Remember the criminal sign. You have to be this till this ride. Here are some words. Disrobe, bedworthy, which was the last movie you saw. Which body, trying to work that out, would you say is better to have to another than one? I would say testicles. What do you think of people who walk around naked in their homes? Ever worn a wet t-shirt? Do you like reading erotic novels? here are a couple of my school grades effort reading a Right Soon Love Ricky. Very, very strange letter. And the other one says, lots of light in your room, dim light or natural light. Seen any good movies? There should be another letter. Enjoyed with this one. Right soon. Love you, Rich. Very interesting. I've never read this before, these letters. There's other stuff there. Excuse me. There's another page there. I'm just going through it. Torching you. Yeah, interesting anyway. So I just thought I'd read a little bit of that. It's a bit out there, but that's Richard Ramirez. Richard Ramirez letter and signature on there as well from prison. So there you go. Believe it or not, that's Richard Ramirez's letter. So I'm going to put it away. That was the first time I've actually read that. But it's a little bit hard. I need to spend a bit of time to actually read that letter, but it's yeah, a bit a bizarre letter, if you ask me. But as you know, Richard Ramirez was a bit bizarre. And I'm not celebrating Richard Ramirez, but I am doing as an experiment to communicate with Richard because I've done it before. And I am going to put this inside. It's all folded up. I think I'll fix it up later. I just want to get it in the plastic. I'm just going to take this off. It's easier for me to put this in the plastic to protect it because I don't want anything to happen to it. So just bear with me. Put this in. Okay. Just going to put this back in the envelope. Okay. I'm going to set the camera off and the REM pod here. I'm going to go down the hallway. So I'm going to drop this off, and we get anything, I'll let you know. Let's go. All right, it's going to go down the hallway. Richard Ramirez. I say this 3 times to communicate with Richard. Richard Ramirez, come through. It's been a very long time since I communicated with you. Are you here? Now I've got EMF meter. I'm going to turn it on. New battery. Richard Ramirez. Richard Ramirez, come through. It's going bananas. Can you touch the cat ball? Now, I don't know if that's electricity in that it's gone berserk. I'm going to turn this off for a second. Just seeing. Just showing you it's gone. I don't know. Can you do 4 lights? Let's do an experiment. Can you do all the lights or touch this cat ball like this? Richard Ramirez, are you here? Can you touch the REM pod at the hallway? Make it go off. Are you here? Before I use the PSB 7, I'm going to just do an experiment. This is going bananas. I'm not sure. There might be electric field here that's setting it off. I'm not too sure whether that's it might be a false reading. I'll take it off. Richard Ramirez, come through. Can you stop that for a minute? If that's you, stop that. This device. Can you stop it for a minute? If that's you. Richard, can you turn the REM pod on along the hallway? That black device with the aerial and it's red on top. Can you touch this cat ball? Richard, can you touch the REM pod outside there along the hallway? All right, we're going to do an experimentation. I'm going to use the PSB 7. We got a Vietnam War compass to see whether there's Richard will come through and play around. You can touch this, Richard Ramirez. I'll say it again 3 times. Richard Ramirez, come through. I've spoken to you a long time ago, and I'm just asking if you can communicate with me. Can you do 4 lights? The whole light 5. Come through. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? No one's here in the house. I've locked it down. I can feel something here. I can actually feel something now. I can feel something. I pick up something now. Something is here. No one's in the house. There's no cats. Did you hear that sound? I actually heard something. Richard, are you here? Hell, did you hear that? Richard, is that you? I can feel something now. I can feel electricity. It's going along my legs, going along my arm. Richard Ramirez. I'm sort of tearing up. I don't know why. There's something here, man. There's something here. I've never done this live. Richard Ramirez, come through. Can you touch that REM pod? Hi, how are you going? We've got something really weird here going on. I'm doing spirit channeling and the person's just got scared and left. That was really, really weird. I heard a voice. This has been recorded, so I'll play back. Richard, okay, we're gonna get the PSB 7. Let's roll. Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez. I'm going to put this here. Richard Ramirez, come through, come through. It's been a long time since I've spoken to you. Are you here? Can you come through? Can you touch that REM pod? Are you here, Richard? Come through, Richard. Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez. Hello, Richard Ramirez. It's been a long time. Are you here now, Richard? Can you touch the REM pod? Can you hear that? Come through. Richard, come through. I've got some questions I want to ask you, just to make sure that's you. If this is you, can you say Richard? Go. If this is you, tell me your name. This is live, so whatever happens, happens. This will be the last time I speak to you, Richard. So can you come through, Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez, the serial killer? Can you come through and speak? Come through, Richard. I want to ask you some questions. What made you do what you did? Why did you kill people? Richard, why did you kill people? What made you want to kill people? Come through, Richard. As I said, this will be the last time I speak to you. Come through, Richard. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Can you touch any of these items and play around with them? Are you here? Richard Ramirez, it's Rhees. I spoke to you a few years ago. Can you come through and speak to me? What made you do what you did? Richard, why did you do the things that you did? Why did you kill? What made you want to kill people? Why? You hear that? Were you remorseful what you did? Killing those innocent people. Are you remorseful? Richard, are you remorseful what you did? Are you sorry what you did? Richard Ramirez, are you remorseful what you did? Can you tell me why you did the things you did? Why did you kill people? Come through, Richard. Richard Ramirez. You're back, yes. Come through. You can speak of Spanish if you want. What made you do the things that you did? 25. How many people did you actually kill? Can you tell me? How many people did you actually murder, Richard? Come through. Is any of the victims here? I ask permission if you'd like to come through and speak. I am able to actually get you to come here and channel. My name's Rhees. I don't know your name. Sorry. You can come through and speak. Are you angry what Richard Ramirez did? Do you forgive him? Richard, what did your friends and family think about you after when they found out of your murders? Richard, come through, come through, come through. This is my last time. Come through, Richard. Is there a message you want to tell me or tell people now? Hello. Are you happy what you did to the people that you murdered? Richard, I'm just going to take this away. Richard, come through, come through. Can you come through and speak to me? When did you have the urge? When did you have the urge to start to kill? How old were you? You're lost. Come through and speak to me, Richard. Can you turn on the REM pod that's along the hallway? Any messages you want to tell me? Do you want me to say a prayer for you? Yeah, freedom. Richard Ramirez, do you want me to say a prayer for you to help you move on? Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez. Come through, come through. Is there any messages you want to tell me? I want to ask you a question. A couple of years ago, did you knock the boxes down along the hallway? Did you do that, Richard? Did you knock the boxes over in my house along the hallway? Was that you? I'm going to ask you again. Why did you do the things you did? Why did you kill people? What made you do it? What made you do it, Richard? What made you kill people? Come through. How did you die, Richard? Now, how did you die? What did you die of? How did you die, Richard? Come through, come through. How did you die, Richard? Can you tell me? Come through. I'm gonna just test this. Are you here, Richard? Richard, can you touch the board there with your hands to show me that you're there? I'll let that go. I'm just going to go along the hallway. Richard, can you turn on the REM pod? Richard, are you here? Come through, come through, come through. Richard. Richard, are you here? Are you here, Richard? Come through and speak to me. Can you show up on this camera? Can you come through, Richard? Richard, can you come through? Richard, are you here? Look at that, there's something there. Maybe it's just me reflecting. Look, there's something there. There's something there. I think there's something there. Look at that. It's like a body. Look, there's something here. There's actually Richard Ramirez do my Richard Ramirez. Are you along the hallway? Touch the REM pod. If that's Richard Ramirez, touch the REM pod. If that's not Richard Ramirez, touch the REM pod now. There's something there. There's something that looks like leaves. Is that a spirit here? Look at that. There's something here. Yeah. Can you touch that REM pod? Oh. All right. Something over there. Something else. Can you come forward? Can you move forward? Can you touch the REM pod? Can you touch it? No. I'm back. I got some weird stuff come up. Richard Ramirez. This went. Can you come through? Richard, come through and touch this REM pod. I'm going to turn this off. I don't know if it's malfunction or what. Richard, come through. I want you to touch this REM pod. Come through. Are you here, Richard? I want you to come through and speak to me. Richard, come through and speak to me. Richard, come through. What made you do the things that you did? Come through, Richard. Who made you do the things that you did? Come through, Richard. Richard Ramirez. Come through, come through. Can you touch any of these devices? Can you make that go off, Richard? Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez, Richard Ramirez. Can you come through and speak? Or touch this REM pod? Am I your friend, Richard? Do you find me as a friend? Am I a friend to you, Richard? If I'm a friend to you, can you touch a REM pod? I read your letter. Did you write that letter? I'll put this here. Richard, come through. Can you touch the REM pod? I got you on there. Can you touch it? Can you come through, Richard? Richard Ramirez. Can you speak to me? Come through. Can you touch any of these items? Come through, Richard. I'm going to stop the live session. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a little bit more and see what happens. So I'll leave it here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.